Thursday had to be one of the most emphatic 24-hour periods that Eugene, Oregon has seen in a hot minute because you start the day off understanding that your head coach, Dan Lanning, isn't in Tuscaloosa. And he's not going to go visit Tuscaloosa. And he's hell-bent on bringing the Ducks to dynasty-level mode in the Big Ten, so he's sticking around for the foreseeable future. But you close out the day with the addition of a little bit more star power that should fortify your offense in a brand new conference and keep your goals and expectations of making the college football playoff alive and well. And that comes with the addition of former Texas A&M receiver Evan Stewart. What does this do for the Ducks offense? What does this mean for Evan Stewart? And how does the world of college football change now that a new number one will reside with the Ducks? Let's go ahead and talk about it. But if you are new here, well, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Simply because the clock has struck 0 on 2023 does not mean we are going to stop making content over on this channel. Everything going on, looking back at 2023, a look ahead to 2024, and a ton of other nonsense. So if this is what you enjoy, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me what you think of Oregon going to the Big Ten with the addition of Evan Stewart. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, Duck fans, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we are in the race to become the number one show talking about our favorite sport on the regular. Go ahead and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations around college football never have to stop flowing. Evan Stewart's production at Texas A&M won't justify how talented of a receiver he actually is. This is a five-star phenom who will immediately be a plug-and-play legit number one pass catcher for your offense. Kid's a stud. Kid absolutely can do everything on its axis. Great route running ability, insane speed, the vertical presence to take the tops off of defensive backs. And when he was healthy, he did do it at Texas A&M. Over 500 receiving yards last year, 7+ touchdowns over a span of 2 years, nearly 100 receptions, nearly 1,000 receiving yards during that span with two very different style of offenses. And literally, watch him play in the SEC. Balls that would come his way. We talk about 50-50 balls. We talk about, how these are contested catches. They lean more so 75-25 in favor of a guy like Evan Stewart making the big-time play. And he can do it at all levels of the field. He can turn an easy slant pattern into a 25-yard gain. He can burn you at the line of scrimmage, and 65 yards later, he's walking in the end zone for 6. He can beat you across the middle of the field, the intermediate part. Everything that you know about a guy like Evan Stewart is well on display. And so now you're adding him into a proven offense with a concept that works underneath Will Stein. He's not going to have to be the only receiver making headlines because Tez Johnson, last year, 1,000 yards. He's coming back for another season in Eugene. And they also have Trayshawn Holden, who combined, those two put up 16 touchdowns last year. It sucks losing Troy Franklin. Make no mistake, that is a player who was destined for greatness with the Ducks, and now hopefully will be able to strut his stuff on Sundays when he makes it to the NFL. But it's so hard not to be emphatically thrilled knowing that Evan Stewart, if he stays healthy, if he can be the version of the kid that was at Liberty in Frisco, Texas, that kid again, he's that guy for you. You're making waves. You're making moves. You are going to be the talk of the town in the Big Ten. It's like you are not going to a new conference and now sitting at the kids' table. No, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and kick somebody who's at the adult table and say, hey, Uncle Jerry's in town. You get to go sit back with the little folks. Sit down and shut up. That's the way Oregon is built right now. And there's a perfect concept. The thing about Oregon of why this is such an interesting fit and why it works is you don't know how to go. You don't know how to prepare for this team. They are a very balanced offense. If you go back and you look at the numbers last year, one of the best when it came to toking the football on the ground. Most yards after contact. You had an incredible year from Bucky Irving. You're hopeful that going into 2023, Jordan James can be that number one running back, but maybe he's not. Maybe you add in another name at the transfer portal, whether it be at this point, whether it be down the line in the second wave. But anyways, you understand that you can't just pigeonhole yourself to one thing if you are a defense, because if you go ahead and try and play the run, well, that opens up passing lanes for Evan Stewart and for Tez Johnson and for Trayshawn Holden. If you try to only cover a guy like Evan Stewart, well, Tez Johnson going over the top, easy touchdown. And if you try to cover Tez Johnson, oh, look at that. Evan Stewart now getting open, making plays, making waves, and making headlines every single Saturday. So this is now only fortifying your offense to a new level that last season really made waves throughout the Pac-12 and honestly was one of the best in college football and has been for really the last 2 years, even when Kenny Dillingham was running the show before Will Stein decided to say, sayonara, Alamo City, let's go ahead and run it up in the Pac-12. And now we'll be doing the same thing in the Big Ten. It's a good fit. It's a good offense. And here's the crazy part. We know this offense maybe won't be explosive when it comes to 25-yard plays down the field, but you got an explosive receiver in Evan Stewart who can turn a 5-yard route into a 25-yard gain. That track speed is not teachable. You either have it or you don't. And Stewart has a little bit more left in the tank to where he is about ready to go sicko mode on Big Ten defensive backs. It's a great addition for you as you make the jump to a new conference, a conference where it's hard to believe, but it really isn't. You should be considered a favorite to win it all. Maybe not the favorite, but certainly you're in the top 3 in all conversations. But what does this mean for Oregon? It's just another day at the office. And that's kind of what the implement of what you want with a coach like Dan Lanning at the helm. This is just new norm. This is just going to be your bread and butter. This is just going to be something that naturally occurs every single season, because that is what you have when you get a coach like Dan Lanning, when you indoctrinate a culture that he has established during his tenure over the last 2 years. That's what you get when you see a proof of concept. More kids, more superstars, more studs, all want to be a part of the concept that's going up in Eugene. And what's interesting is that Stewart may be the headline piece today, but you have to look at all the names that have so far entered the transfer portal. You know what all of them have in common? Oregon was on the list. Oregon was viewed as a finalist. Walter Nolan nearly decided to go ahead and strap it up for Dan Lanning in the Big Ten before Lane Kiffin and the NIL collective called him down to Oxford. There was a case for a slew of wide receivers, a slew of defensive linemen, a slew of linebackers, all want to play for the Ducks. Meanwhile, you also added in 2 quarterbacks that are going to fortify your roster for the long-term process. I mean, seriously, you go from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel and waiting in the wings for a year, learning how to play quarterback underneath Will Stein is going to be Dante Moore. And Moore will come in immediately and will probably thrive and will probably prosper and be the quarterback that we all thought he was going to be when he initially committed to Oregon. Everyone is tuning into Oregon, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. In a world of NIL collectives and the transfer portal running rampant, you have to go ahead and buckle down. You have to be willing to pay the funds to get premier talent to come to your school. And you know what? That's what Oregon does. Oregon is finally seeing this Nike money, and they're saying, we need to utilize it. And we've utilized it when it comes to getting some players. We've utilized it with branding for some people. We've now utilized it to keep our coach employed for the foreseeable future. And now we're going out and we're adding in exceptional talent that is going to be a difference maker for our team. Oregon going into next season, I think, has to be considered a top 5 program. They do. Just the proof of concept offensively, the way that the trench play was built to survive in both the SEC and the Big Ten, and most importantly, the star power that is returning and the star power that is entering Eugene knows no limits. It is going to be a beautiful year for the Ducks in a new conference. Like, we talk about Texas and what they're about ready to do in the SEC. You can literally just flip the script and move up to the Midwest, and the exact same conversation is going on with Oregon. They are a threat. They mean business. They're hell-bent on securing their first conference title in a brand new era of college football, and they're more than ready to take down every opponent that they face on the race to Atlanta to hoist up a national title. Evan Stewart is just like the cherry on top of what you would call a perfect Thursday afternoon. Your coach comes back, you realize that your roster is intact, you see what the potential your team is going to have for the long-term process, and you add in a legit number 1 receiver who could be there for 2 years or could eventually go ahead and make headlines as the next big-time Duck that is entering the NFL and becoming a superstar overnight. Overall, how can you not be excited for the Ducks? Unless you're quackers. That's all I could say on that one. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.